Hey everyone, Amanda here. So, I wanted to make this video because I haven't made any videos for a while, and that is because I am going through the grieving process, as you can tell from the title. And I haven't been interested in making videos. I mean, deep down, yes, I am interested in making videos, but at this particular moment, like right now in the here and now, I'm not. But I am interested in making this one for you because I want to talk about the stages of grief and tell you where I'm at and give you that information. So, my uncle passed away in April. It's now the end of June, and when my uncle first passed away, when I first heard the news, I felt a twinge in my heart, but that's all that I felt. And with me and my uncle, he is was my mother's eldest brother, and he didn't believe that my other uncle, which is his youngest brother, my mother's other brother, he didn't believe that he had sexually abused me. So our relationship was not good. And we never talked or anything about it before he died. So I was left wondering about certain types of questions, like, because we had not seen each other or talked in about 20 or so years, and even though stuff went down negatively, he was still my uncle, and I still love him, and that never changed. This is why this hurts so bad, is because I love him. But that is my question for him. Did he love me back? Was he still mad at me? Did he still think I was a liar? All these questions. And a few weeks ago, I don't know, about a month ago or so, I don't know, we had some really hot days. It was unseasonably hot, and I decided to take advantage of that. And up to this point, I hadn't really cried or anything. It was more like shock and I can't believe he's dead. It's weird, right? And I had done some laundry early in the morning and put it out to dry outside, and later that day we were having isolated thunder showers, and it was around the area where I live, and I started taking them down, and I asked my mother for help because it had started to slightly rain a little bit, and I wanted to get the clothes down as fast as I could. And out of nowhere, the feelings, they just hit me. They just hit me. I started crying. And I don't mean the tears start dribbling and you're able to, that kind of crying you do when it comes from deep within you, like it comes from your soul, and you're crying with your mouth open, and you're crying like that kind of crying. That's the crying I was doing. Like, it came from so deep inside. I'm trying not to cry now. And it hit me that I'll never be able to ask him these questions. I'll never be able to talk to him and figure this stuff out in this life, because he didn't believe me when it came to me being sexually abused. And that really hurts. I know he's dead, but that still hurts. Why didn't he believe me? So it all just came out like a pressure cooker lid just flying off the top, you know? And that's when I realized that I was going through the stages of grief. And I've been going through, like, my behaviors and things like that. I noticed I wasn't going outside, like, this was after I started crying. Like, these behaviors came after. I stopped going for as many walks. I stopped doing a lot of different things, and I was crying a lot. And I started talking to him. I started talking to God more. But I was inside on nice days when I should have been outside. And, you know, I realized I was doing things that are indicative of, you know, depression. And I don't want to get stuck in depression again, but I do realize that that is something that can happen. But I am so proud of myself for recognizing that I'm going through the grieving process and that this can turn into depression. So I wanted to share this with you. I am passionate about this topic. And I wanted to share this with you because I think that there are many of you who can relate to what I am talking about with your own situations and your own circumstances, whatever you have or are going through or may go through in the future. So now this website here, before I get into that, I wanted to say that this situation reminds me of that song that Mariah Carey put out called Side Effects. I think it's on her E=MC² album. And she talks about how this happened and now I live with the side effects of it. And to me, that song, those lyrics, I can relate to those lyrics, because what happened between me and my uncle, what happened between me and my family was very, very traumatic for me. And I have lived with the side effects of that ever since. There's more to that story, but I do not want to get into it here. I'm just saying, I can resonate with what she's saying. It's a different total situation, but I understand what she is saying. So, oh, hello, kitty kitty. Hi, kitty kitty. I think my kitty's like, you're upset. Why are you upset? I'm gonna come over to you. Oh, is that what he says? Yes, you're upset. That's what happens when you're honest with your feelings, honey. Sometimes the upset ones come out. So I just wanted to say, like, I can relate to that song and what she's trying to talk about in that song, because I think on both levels of that, because like with my uncle and all that, to this day, I mean, I'm 35. This happened when I was either 15 or 16. I think I was 16 when it started, and then I turned 17, or I was 15, then I turned 16. I can't remember. I think it was I was 16, but it doesn't matter. I was a minor, and he was an adult, and he is a family member. So it's just wrong, right? On all accounts. But, you know, he said, he blamed me. He said, I am the one. He said, I was the one. I'm having trouble getting this out because this is disgusting and gross. And anyone who believes this, like, there's something wrong with you. But he said, I was the one who came onto him. And whether that is true or not, like, anyone who tells that for a story, because I watch Steve Wilkos, okay, and I have heard that come out of people's mouths. Well, she came on to me. She came on to me. Whether that is true or not, that person is under the age of 18, and I don't give a crap what any law says about age of consent, okay? You're under 18. You can't, this is not working properly. And apparently for that adult, it isn't working properly either. And any man or woman who takes advantage of somebody like that, okay, whether you are family or not, it is wrong. You know, and that's the line that he used, and everyone just believed it. Nobody ever came to me and said, hey, I heard what happened. Do you mind, telling me what happened? Nobody ever did that. They just believed it. And now that he has passed away, I can't ever talk to him about it. But I can talk to him. I mean, I can talk to him now. I guess he's passed on. I can't talk to him face to face, but I can sure talk about it now, I guess. I guess it's easier to talk about it now. And I do talk to him. I talk to God. I try to understand. I mean, I believe there's a reason that we all go through what we go through, even if we don't understand why, even if it's not fair, even if it messes us up on many levels. I believe there's a reason for it. There's a reason. But anyway, I just wanted to get that out, that I understand the lyrics and whatnot. So, sorry, I went on a tangent. But anyway, now I'm getting this from the American Cancer Society. So be aware when I'm reading this, they are talking about people who are cancer patients, but it still is helpful for anyone who is going through the grieving process, okay? And I will put more links in the description about the stages of grief and all that stuff, so from different websites, so you can look at that. And I encourage you to look up like the charts and stuff. And also, if you are going through the grieving process and you feel that it is overwhelming, okay, and you're hurting and it's really hard, seek out a counselor that deals with that, and also see if there's any groups. Because there's usually groups where other people who have lost loved ones meet, so you can be around other people who know exactly what you're going through. Those two things, I would start there. Okay? So you're not alone, and so you're dealing with it, so you're not just alone and bottled up, because you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. You do not. All right, so let's go through this. Now, this is from the American Cancer Society. What are grief, mourning, and bereavement? So, grief is normal. It is a process. Expressing grief is how a person reacts to the loss of a loved one. Many people think of grief as a single instance or as a short time of pain or sadness in response to a loss, like the tears shed at a loved one's funeral. But grieving includes the entire emotional process of coping with a loss, and it can last a long time. There is no time limit, ever. The process involves many different emotions, actions, and expressions, all of which help a person come to terms with the loss of a loved one. We may hear the time of grief being described as normal grieving. I've actually never heard that term before. I don't think there's such thing as normal grieving. I think there's just grieving. But this simply refers to a process anyone may go through. Oh, see, it agrees with me. I didn't even read this before. We're going through this together, so that's funny. And none of us experience grief the same way. This is because grief doesn't look or feel the same for everyone. And every loss is different. That's true. That's true. Okay, mourning often goes along with grief. While grief is a personal experience and process, mourning is how grief and loss are shown in public. So that is like mourning involves like religious beliefs or rituals, and this may be affected by our ethnic background, cultural customs, the rituals of mourning, seeing friends and family and preparing for the funeral, and oh my god, I can't even say this word now, and burial, a final physical separation, often gives some structure to the grieving process. Sometimes a sense of numbness lasts through these activities, leaving the person feeling as though they are just going through the motions of the rituals. That's actually how I felt like when I went up there and they were doing the thing. It was just like there was this weird, like I was being protected by this, I don't know, it was weird. But I guess that's what they're talking about. So when they say like bereavement, okay, that's when like that's when grief and mourning happens during the time of bereavement. So that's when you're experiencing the loss. So if anyone's confused, but of course this will be in the thing, so you can be able to look this up. So I am going to skip down. Oh, okay. So right here, difficult relationships. A person who had a difficult relationship with the deceased. It's talking about like how your grieving may be affected in different ways based on like your relationship to the person and different things like that. It does talk about this stuff. Like it talks about grief after long illnesses. So obviously this is the Cancer Society. That's what they're talking about. So we're going to go down to the stages of grief here. Hold on. I need to take a drink. Okay. Denial and isolation. The first stage may start before the loss occurs if the death of the loved one is expected, or it may begin immediately at the time or shortly after the loss. It can last anywhere from a few hours to days or weeks. The feelings experienced in the first stages of grief may be fear, shock, or numbness. The person may have pangs of distress, often triggered by reminders of the deceased. During this time, the bereaved person may feel emotionally shut off from the world. The grieving person may avoid others or avoid talking about the loss. Anger. The next stage can last for days, weeks, or months. It is when the earliest feelings are replaced by frustration and anxiety. This stage can involve anger, loneliness, or uncertainty. It may be when the feelings of loss are most intense and painful. The person may feel agitated or weak, cry, engage in aimless or disorganized activities, or be preoccupied with thoughts or images of the person they lost. Bargaining. This stage is likely to be shorter than others. It happens when a grieving person is struggling to find meaning for the loss of their loved one. They may reach out to others and tell their story. In doing so, they begin to think more clearly about the changes brought about by the loss of their loved one. Depression. As life changes are realized, depression may set in. This stage is used to describe a grieving person who feels overwhelmed and helpless. They may withdraw, become hostile or express extreme sadness. During this time, grief tends to come in waves of distress. Acceptance. This last phase of grief happens when people find ways to come to terms with and accept the loss. Usually the person comes to accept the loss slowly over a few months to a year. This acceptance includes adjusting to daily life without the deceased. So some or all of the following may be seen in a person who is grieving: socially withdrawing, trouble thinking and concentrating, becomes restless and anxious at times, loss of appetite, looks sad, feels depressed, dreams of the deceased, or even have hallucinations or visions in which they briefly hear or see the deceased, loses weight, trouble sleeping, feels tired or weak, becomes preoccupied with death or events surrounding death, searches for reasons for the loss, sometimes with the results that make no sense to others, dwells on mistakes, real or imagined, that he or she made with the deceased, feels guilty for the loss, feels all alone and distant from others, expresses anger or envy at seeing others with their loved ones. Reaching the acceptance stage and adjusting to the loss does not mean that all the pain is over. Grieving for someone who was close to you includes losing the future you expected with that person. This must also be mourned. The sense of loss can last for decades. For example, years after a parent dies, the bereaved may be reminded of the parent's absence at an event or he or she would have been expected to attend. This can bring back strong emotions and require mourning, yet another part of the loss. So that's just to give you just an idea, if you're not familiar with grief and loss, just to give you an idea of what it can be. Obviously, this is not like detailed and in-depth. It's just like an overview of what grief and loss is. So I would encourage you to research grief and loss, talk to people who you know are willing to talk about it, that have been through it, and how they dealt with it and all that stuff, how they got through it, what they did, especially if you're going through it, because you want to reach out to people. You don't want to isolate yourself and be all by yourself, because you're going to encourage the depression. You're going to encourage the grieving to never go away. And when I say you're always going to have times when you think about whether it's a pet or a person, okay? It doesn't matter if you're close to someone or a pet that you love and they die, it's going to hurt. And over time, it will hurt less, but it will always hurt. You're never going to forget them, but over time it will hurt less and less, but it will always hurt. You will always be mourning that person or pet, but you will learn how to move forward without them. And that can be really hard. And for me, what is hard is moving forward without ever having or attempting to ever have that conversation with my uncle. But I look at it like this. He never believed in the afterlife. I believe in the afterlife. I believe it exists. I'm not pushing that onto anyone. This is just my personal belief. And I do talk to him. I also talk to God. And right now, I'm just taking the time to do what I need to do to heal. I did have other videos planned, but right now, I'm grieving, and there's a lot that I'm processing and that I'm working through, and I need to deal with that right now. And I gotta put myself first, and I know that y'all understand that, and that's why I love you so much. That's why you're my family, and I can always count on you, just like you can always count on me. And sorry, my neck. That's why I keep shaking my head, because like my neck hurts. Sorry, I'm not like saying no to you guys. I'm like, my neck hurts. That's why I love you guys so much. That's why this is a family. You know, to me, you are my extended family, and so many of you have been with me from the beginning, and you know, you've always been there for me, and I just want to say thank you for that. And sometimes you need to take care of yourself, and this is one of those lessons for anyone who is new or is not sure like what to do. Like, sometimes you need to take time for yourself. Sometimes you need to take a break from things and step back and focus on you and get your stuff together, and then you can resume what you were doing. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just stepping back a little bit from YouTube. I'm still gonna make videos, just right now I need to focus on me, and it's okay that I'm doing that. So you guys will always be here. You know, this channel is not going away. But I do need time to take care of myself, and I know that you guys understand that, and I know that you respect that. I respect you. I love you all, and I wanted to make this video so you guys could know where I'm at and know what's going on with me in regards to this. Now, there are other things going on in my life that I did want to talk about, but I will talk about those things at another time. So for now, this is where I'm going to leave this. So thank you for watching. I love you all. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And please, 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 please show love and kindness to the people around you, even if you're not related to someone. Like, when you're driving, when you're walking into a store, hold the door open for somebody. Say thank you. You know, tell someone they look nice. You know, just do those little gestures, those little things to spread, you know, love around the world. Because every time I turn on the news, I'm like, okay, we're going to hear about people dying. And I'm not just talking about from, you know, this demic that we're going through. I'm talking about in other ways. people are dying, and it's very unsettling to me. Things are just getting worse and worse and worse, and we gotta spread that kindness, that love, that energy. Gotta tap into your heart, because love is the only way. It is. Love is the only way. So I hope that through me, you take that love and you spread that, and then through you, your family, your friends, your subscribers will spread that love, and we can pay it forward through all of that love and try to spread that love as far as we can, baby. It's all we can do, right? I mean, I'm sure we can do other things, but at least energetically, that's what we can do. We can pray for these people if you pray, you know, but let's try to do what we can to save as many people as we can, whether it's energetically, through prayer, through actual volunteer work, whatever it is that y'all can do. Let's do this, okay? Because we got to have some good stories out there. You know, people saving people. Peace is on the rise, you know. I'd love to see stories like that instead of what I've been hearing. Because it's getting out of control. It's getting out of control. People are out of control. Alright, I'm done rambling. I love you all. Please spread that peace and love all around the world as much as you can. I love you guys, and I will see you when I am in a better place. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. Peace and love. Bye-bye.